Welcome to the Live Bright Show, the pod for badass service-based entrepreneurs who are creating businesses and lives that are fun, successful, and free. And now your host, seven-figure business owner, coach, and founder of the Live Bright movement, here to help you own your potential, Moran.
Welcome to the Live Bright Show. With me today is Shawn Day. Shawn is a copywriter. He has owned several companies, including a mortgage company, a cleaning company, I believe something else called the Repeat Cash Business, which I want to find out more about. He's currently the director of Hire Lead Chill, which is a revolutionary recruiting service for the service industry. Shawn's also a dedicated father, husband, family man, fur daddy, pet daddy, whatever you call that. He's got a dog. And I think he might be a part-time monk because he often has so much wisdom that I'm like, where does this even come from? And he does it with humor. It's amazing. So welcome to the show, Shawn. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Molly, but very good to be here. Yeah.
Do you like the monk? Do you like the part-time monk thing?
I thought you said monkey at first, so I was like, yeah, that's cool. No, I do. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. I love it.
It's definitely a compliment. It's definitely a compliment. Well, Shawn, let's get to it. I'm excited for people to get to know you. I've had some really fun conversations with you over the years. And when I thought about starting this pod, I was like, oh yeah, I got to get Shawn Day on this show because we're going to have some good talks. So let's talk. I know currently you're directing a recruiting agency. We're going to get to that, but I'd love to sort of go back in time just a little bit. You owned several businesses. And owned and exited several businesses. So can you tell me I always love this question for people, even though it's like kind of basic, but how did you even decide to become an entrepreneur and take that leap? Tell us about that.
I'll tell you what, I grew up pretty poor. And I don't want the sad story thing, but my dad was an alcoholic. He went to prison for 10 years. My mom was left with 4 kids. I was the youngest of 4. And so I was with her a lot when we were going through that process. And so I was like right there and seeing her working her tail off. She's 88 now. I go see her every Sunday, every Wednesday. I just learned an awful lot about how to get through adversity. She worked 2-3 jobs. I was at a lot of them with her because that was how are we going to get a babysitter? You're coming to work with me at 7-8 years old. And so that's, I think, what started it. It was a matter of just seeing her grind, her work through adversity. She was one of the best salespersons I've ever seen in my life, that she had no idea she was selling anything. She had worked for my her sister's party center as a sort of a receptionist, but did everything, the payroll, answered the phone. And she'd be like, you got it, the chicken, you're not going to believe this. You get in here for a taste test because I can't do it. And I'm just sitting there listening. There's a $20,000 wedding. There's a $30,000 wedding. And just boom, boom. That's phenomenal stuff. And so I think all of that combined was sort of like, one, I don't want to be poor, and I'm going to take life into my own hands and not let anybody destroy what I'm going after. That was sort of, I think, what really started the seed of entrepreneurship and business ownership. I had I had 3 jobs when I went to college. I worked at a pizza place. I literally typed because there was only MS-DOS at the time when I was in college. I literally typed a good portion of our school newspaper. I only knew how to type really well because our wrestling coach, which I come from a huge wrestling family, was also the typing teacher because he wanted to be a coach. So, of course, you're going to be a typing teacher to become a coach. And so he, hey, man, I bet you can't do this. I bet I can. And I did it. And I learned how to type. And like a bike, you never forget how to. So I did that. And the third thing I did was I sold specialty advertising stuff to like bookstores. I got the pizza place and a radio station together. And I went to a private business school, which basically was all about entrepreneurship. Life kind of just went that way, and I had my first sort of company, I guess, when I was 20 years old or something like that, selling specialty advertising.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I ask you so many questions right. Wow. That's a really amazing start.
I answered your question, but I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. You just told me so much. I'm like, okay, I could go in like 10 different directions. One thing I hear you saying is that watching your mom work so hard and be so good at what she did and working for other people, like, did you have some, maybe you might not have been conscious of it when you were 8 years old, but later on, like, well, why doesn't she do this for herself? Or maybe I can just do this for myself, not judging her. I don't mean that, but like watching her make money for other people, being like, well, why don't I just go here and do this myself? Is that kind of correct?
There was. So you had that you had that hardworking work ethic. And then I think that she had to react to life more than be proactive. Back in, this is in the 70s, so there weren't a lot of women working in professional positions. Women were really just coming into the workforce in the late 60s and into the 70s. And most of the time you were a secretary, a waitress, the barmaid or something like that. The ceiling wasn't really being broken to a large extent of women at that time. That's why she had to work a number of jobs. My aunt and uncle, who I love and I'm very close with, I saw their success because my mom worked for them. So I saw that circle of, wow, she's getting a lot of money in here. They're doing really well for themselves. They treated her fine and dandy and all that.
Yeah.
But there was this little circle I was in going, I like the hard work. I love working hard, but I sure like being in control of my own destiny a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah. Geez, that's awesome. That's an incredible story. I love that what you took from there, I mean, was really just, you could have, that story could go a couple of ways, right? And with your dad in prison, and like that story could definitely go a couple of ways. You obviously made some choices early on and had some built-in resiliency and, I don't know, love and support, obviously, from your mom and your siblings and stuff to go in a completely different direction, which is awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not to say, and we'll get into it probably, not to say that there weren't a lot of mistakes and stumbling and resentments and things like that didn't come along with that as you become an adult.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yes.
All about those sort of things. Those are things that are challenging and some things that you're not able to uncover on your own. And you need help from other people and other circumstances to get you through certain things. But even then, you still have choices of what path and you may go on. I think it was Yogi Berra that said, when you see the fork in the road, take it.
That's good. That's so good. Yeah, it is true. And this has been a kind of a common theme with talking to people as like on this pod, but in general, it's like, all right, do you want to be a victim of circumstance or do you want to go after things? Do you want to change? Do you want to move forward? Do you want to evolve? Very cool. So let's talk about that evolution of you. So what was the first business you started?
It was my roommate introduced me to his father. His father came from a lot of money. I went to a private business school thinking that 98% job placement, that's phenomenal. I can't be one of those 2%, can I? And with help from the guidance counselors, like, go there. I wanted to get into advertising. I don't even know why. I think I loved light beer, less filling commercial. And I said, I want to write commercials like that. That's literally why I wanted to get into advertising. It was awesome.
That sounds like an 18-year-old decision, right?
Absolutely. Let's go with it. So he introduced me to his dad. His dad introduced me to this other guy who said, hey, I got this new invention. It's a press-a-light. So those little keychains that I don't even know if they're around anymore. You fix them, a little flashlight. He invented that. And so I started selling. I said, yeah, just give me whatever, I'll go sell it. And that's what I did. And I started to sell it. So that was sort of my first business. And then I went to, like a lot of entrepreneurs, I did the corporate thing at Enterprise Rent-A-Car 35 years ago, did the rental counter thing, got promoted very quickly. I was a kid from Cleveland, Ohio. I was working at the Motor City in Detroit. And my job was to pound the phone and say, hi, I can tell you how to buy cars better, maintain them better, and insure them better. And I'm a kid, 23 from Cleveland. You've been in the Motor City, Mr. So-and-so, for how many years? Well, let me tell you. And I was really good at it. They wanted me to open up Toledo. I said, Toledo's an armpit. I'd rather open up Cleveland and get back to family. That's where and I soon found out that they didn't have my interest at heart. I love enterprise. I learned a lot there, but the general manager just didn't have my interest, and he had wanted me to stay in Toledo because he made money if Shawn stayed in Toledo. Anyway, I'm done with that. And I started a mortgage company after that. And I started a mortgage company because I couldn't take the corporate stuff. And there's a whole story behind that, but I won't get into that. And so I had eight rental houses at that time. I was making like 70 grand a year at 23 years old, 35 years ago.
Okay, first of all, you keep saying like 35 years ago, the 70s, and I'm like, dude, Shawn's way older. So you're wearing it well. You're wearing your youth well.
It was probably, well, at Enterprise was probably about 30 years ago.
All right. Yeah. So I'm just teasing. I'm having age issues because I'm approaching 50s. Really, it's about me. Yeah, sorry about that. So anyway, so you had at 23, no, 20, what, how many rental houses did you own?
At 23, 24, I had probably close to 8 rental houses, I think it was. I met so some people at Enterprise were buying houses. I'm moving up. I'm listening to these guys and gals that are in their 40s and 50s going, yeah. So I bought one. Actually, the first house I bought, my fiance at the time, and I turned it into a rental. And then I met a mortgage broker, and we were golfing together and having fun together. And I said, hey, how hard is it to be this mortgage broker thing you're doing, dude? He's like, I don't know. It's not too hard. I'm like, all right, well, at that time, all you needed was a pulse and a 4-year degree, and you can get a mortgage company. A lot's different today. And so I did. And I started a mortgage company in Michigan, knowing I was moving back to Cleveland, but I needed to get my license quickly. And I got it in Ohio. We moved back, and that's how I got back to Ohio. So that was my first business. I owned a mortgage company for about 10 years.
Wow. Did you enjoy it?
I did, but I wasn't real good at it because I couldn't gouge people like the mortgage industry tended to do, because most of my business at that time was from friends and family, and then it just went from there. I never advertised a dime, I don't think. I didn't go to realtors. It was mostly refinance and get you out of trouble type of things. So like I wouldn't do the 100% loan stuff and 125. I'm like, I'm not going to take your house from you. I'm just not doing it. I'm not going there. And that subprime loan stuff was really starting to blossom at that time. And so, I loved it. But it was, again, out of my control a little bit. When something happened in China, it was like rates would jump to 8%, and I'd be going, what's going on? Why is my phone stop ringing? What's happening? So there's things that happen with that I was uncomfortable with. And I'll tell you how I exited that. This lady, Juanita, worked at a title company, probably 70 years old. Family friend, everything, whatever she knew. She helped found a bank and all this other stuff, right? One day she innocently looks at me and says, Shawn, geez, old Pete, the Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, the government-backed mortgage loans, guarantors, we're getting into these junk loans and these subprime loans. This isn't going to end well at all. There's something bad coming. That smacked me in the face, and about a year later, the market tanked. And I exited before the market tanked. And people that don't listen to your podcast and people that don't know me, I tell them I'm brilliant. Everybody else knows I was lucky and listened to Juanita just in the nick of time.
Yay, Juanita. Do you still know Juanita? Is she still around?
She's passed away, but I visited her husband when he was sick and things like that. We had a beautiful friendship. Yeah.
Neat. Yep. Very neat. Now, did you sell that company, that mortgage company, or did you close it?
I closed it. It was hard for me to sell it because the market wasn't good at that time. And I did a lot of refi, and I didn't have a lot of relationships, and I never thought about that at that time. I probably could have sold it for a few bucks, but I needed to move on from it, and I needed to get out of it.
Gotcha.
And I had some money put away that I didn't really need to think and focus my energy on how can I get the best buck for this business.
Right. That's awesome. And you're still like young. You're like 30 or something like that. Yeah. That's amazing. Amazing.
About 30. Yeah.
About 30. Wow. And so then the next bit, so then you took some time. Do you take some time to just kind of figure out what was next?
I had a system set up like before AI, before all this automation and systems and go high levels and processes. and I barely remember, to be honest with you. It was something that it was like a coaching consulting thing that I sold, but I didn't
Okay.
do like coaching. I just was like, here's a program on how you can in a system on how you can repeat making money and build a business. It wasn't MLM or anything like that. I honestly can't remember exactly what it was, but what had happened was I was just selling that idea in an ebook, and it was just going. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, well, I'm not going to change that. I'm going to think about some things. And so it kept me going and kept things happening. And I'm like, it just kind of happened, and it was weird, but it was before any, maybe Tony Robbins was the only coach I've ever heard of or consultant at that
Right.
time. And that was
Right.
it. There wasn't a lot of the
So
industry that's
it was
watching.
you and Tony. It was you and Tony at the beginning, is what you're saying.
Yeah, something like that.
Sorry, I'm just
He knew
teasing.
what he was doing. I didn't.
I think you're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game. You're selling ebooks before Amazon. That's pretty cutting edge. That's
They were
awesome.
gorgeous, I'll tell you that, but they were buying them.
That's great. That's great. Okay. And then you started a cleaning company. Is that right?
I did. For,
Sorry. The energy sort.
no, asked me how do you go from mortgage to that, and I would not I couldn't remember for a while. I'm like, I honestly don't know. I remember my aunt and uncle had helped somebody start a cleaning company. One of their best friends was, and they were on a country club golf course, so that always was appealing to me. But the reason that I did it was because my mom was getting ready to retire and she needed something to do. And I was like, I could have kept a mortgage company, but there was really nothing. It was just me, and there wasn't
Right.
a lot for her to do. So I said, maybe I'll get a couple cleaners together and start this cleaning business. And it came from an idea that was planted from my aunt and uncle, knowing somebody that I met. So that's sort of where that came from. I didn't know where it would go. I didn't have a big vision on it. I didn't have this is going to be a franchise one day or any of that stuff. I was just doing it. So mom had something to do. And I knew damn well I could work hard and make something happen. It was low entry. So the risk, it wasn't real risky.
Mhm.
And I thought maybe I'll have it. She'll retire in a couple of years and then I can figure out what I want to do. 20 years later, still have the business with
Crazy.
about 40 some employees. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow. So, I mean, it's really, you just said low entry, and that was one of the reasons that I started my cleaning company
Yeah.
originally as well. It's
Yeah.
like like it was like a very low startup cost and whatever. I mean, other reasons too, but definitely a similarity there. So you had that for, okay. Yeah. I know, and that's a whole story in and of itself, but I want to like dig a little bit here. So what did you sold that, eventually, right? You sold that
Yes.
to.
Yes. Blue Sky Services. Yep.
Okay, amazing. So
In
congratulations on
2015.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell
Yep.
you a little quick story about that, which is, how it's crazy. My wife and I got together and I said, we've been doing this for like 18 years or something like that. It's going to take a little bit of time to put this in order the way I want to sell this. So do you think we should start thinking about that? She said, absolutely. Let's start. I said, it'll probably take a couple of years. I remember I don't know why I did it through LinkedIn. It wasn't that big back then.
Wow.
So I messaged Derek Christian because he was in Ohio where I'm at, but
Yep.
4 hours away. I said, Derek, I don't know if you'd be interested in doing something, but I think I'm ready to exit my business. If there's something you want to talk about. So he never got back to me. And so I got a business broker, talked to him. I was happy with the numbers he was telling me. So about a month later, on a Thursday, I was going to sign papers with this broker on Saturday, a couple of days, right? Out of the blue, I get this call from Derek. Hey, are you still in it? Derek, right? Are you right to the
Yeah.
gut, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hi, and yeah.
yeah, and he's probably got another phone in his hand as he's talking to me,
Right. Right.
literally. So he's like, are you still interested in selling your business? I said, not really. I'm signing it off on Saturday. He goes, don't do it. Don't do it. He goes, I just sold my business to this company called Blue Skies. I will drive up and talk to you about it. You're going to want to talk to me. And I said, dude, I'm getting rid of this business and like signing with a broker. He goes, just so he came up, we talked. He sold his business to Blue Skies. Everything worked out really well for him. I talked to Michael Dalkey. He said it was like a couple days before Thanksgiving at this time. I'm going to fly in and we're going to talk. And Michael and I sat down for 6 hours in my office without leaving. We talked about business and numbers for about 2 hours. And then we talked about life, how to treat people, our principles, our values. And we pretty much had a deal by the end of 6 hours of that conversation. And I will say this, it was for substantially more than what I was about to sign for with the business broker.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that story gives me chills. I mean, it just seems so like the timing of it all
Yeah.
and
Real quick, I forgot to mention,
yeah,
Molly, that conversation I had with my wife saying it would take a couple years, 3 months later, I sold the business.
that's what I was just about to say, like, how long was that? Like, cause so not long, you kind of just set the intention and then,
Yeah. And
wow.
just moved. I typed a few things out to somebody. I called somebody. I wanted to learn more about it. But if there's one thing in life that I've learned, to stare at a wall wondering about things, which I've done plenty of that, has never, ever led me anywhere healthy. And I'll tell you, when I move and when I talk to human beings, I like AI, I like processes, I like systems, I like automations. I love that stuff. But man, I never, ever have problems when I talk and move and just find things start to come your way that way. That's
Yep.
huge for me, especially when I'm feeling shitty. I know that's what I need to do when I'm feeling shitty.
Yep. So you reach out, relationships, connection, that sort
Big
of,
time,
so that's
big time.
and is that like a lesson have you known that for
No,
decades and decades or?
no, no. Debbie Chardon once called me and said, "Hey, in 2004 or five, hey, are you going to the back then RC convention, right? The residential cleaning convention?" I said, "I'm not a convention guy. I'm not, no, a lot of people know
You're
this
not a
and that."
convention guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Think about that now, right? So, some stumble around conventions now. So I'm in like Amish country, Northeast Ohio, Vegas. I don't gamble anyway. No, I'm not. So what had happened was she basically followed up, just get out there. You're pissing me off. No, you blew it. I was about to award you for the most cleanings for the Cleaning for a Reason Foundation at that time. And it was the first annual one, and now you're ruining everything. Just go out there. And I said, I think I can go out there for that. No. So to answer your question, I had to be pulled into that stuff. And I never was, it wasn't because of my ego. It wasn't because I thought I knew everything. It was because I was afraid of throwing myself out there and saying, hey, I'm Shawn Day. Don't beat me up too bad out there, okay? That's how I looked at things. I didn't want anything to do with that. Hell no, I didn't. I was scared to death of it.
And that's so interesting. It doesn't sound like you were scared to death of that though, like in your world in Ohio, like, or were you? And I'm not hearing that right.
A little bit. I wasn't, I had friends that own businesses that I can identify with and I can have conversation with. And as you know, if you've never owned a business, you can't have a conversation with somebody like business owners to business owners. Well, I
Right.
had that, but I was afraid of BNI. I was afraid of joining the commerce. I never joined any of that stuff. I was always, because I think of my how I grew up poor. I think because of that, I was afraid that I'd be uncovered as just this poor dumb kid that thinks he knows it, that thinks he can run a business, and I was fearful of that, and that's how I saw myself. And so certainly that's how everybody else must see me, if that's how I see
Right.
myself. And so I was in a bubble, and I didn't want to be exposed to being the poor guy that grew up thinking he can run a business.
So you had some imposter syndrome, sounds like,
Big
right? Like
time,
it's
big
like the
time.
biggest buzzword right now, right? But yeah, you have
Yeah.
massive imposter. So so Debbie got you there, pulled you in. And I love that story because I remember my first convention and I went to it and I literally didn't talk to anybody, which is hilarious. And I'm like, what the hell? Like so weird, right? Like
Yeah.
but anyway, knowing you and knowing me now, so what kind of got you through that? Like feeling like, oh yeah, no, I belong here. I've got value. I belong in these rooms.
I think when I sold my business, that was a little bit of proof that I must have created something pretty decent in order for somebody to be interested in driving 4 hours from Cincinnati to talk to me and then flying across country from Minnesota to sit down and talk with me. And then say, I want to buy your business. And not only that, I want you to stay on board because I think that you can be an important person with the business. That gave me some validation. And then I thought, I think I'm onto something. And that got me more comfortable knowing that he must have done something good and valuable to somebody, because nobody would have done those things and come out to see me and taken the time to do that if I hadn't created something of value, something I didn't buy and then grow upon it, but something I created from trying to help mom and trying to and with a vacuum cleaner or two.
I love it.
And then all of a sudden it became a business that somebody wanted to buy and that was interested and then wanted my valuable input on, hey, how are we going to put this business model together? And we want to buy other cleaning companies as long as you're a part of it, because we don't know what we're doing in the maid service space. They were window cleaners and exterior cleaners. So we had to have that synergy. And I had a lot of people that I looked up to that were, I thought, smarter than I was and probably are. And I thought, they're still asking my opinion on these things and they're asking me to put some things together. There's some value in that. There's definitely some value in that. And then one of the things I learned, and it was mainly from Dan Plata, who is the most outgoing, genuine human being I've ever met in my life.
Yep.
I didn't understand the importance of relationships with others in your industry. I always looked at it as a threat. I always looked at it as competition. I always looked at it. I'm not telling you all my secrets, all that sort of thing. And I never looked at it in the world of relationships and what we can do together as a community in the same space and how we can flourish and grow these things. And amazing things started to happen when I opened up to that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Hey, shout out to Dan. Go Dan. No, it's true. I think a lot of people have that. And it's just it's a bit of a scarcity mindset. People don't know better until they know better. Right. And,
Yep.
it's interesting. So now in your life, do you ever experience imposter syndrome? Are you ever like, or, and if so, how do you deal with it? Hey friend, a quick break to ask you to please go to livebrightshow.com to be added to my email list. Here's the thing. I hate email, so I pretty much guarantee you're not going to receive anything excessive. Only important things like when I have new options in my coaching program, offer free challenges, new courses, release a new pod, or perhaps an occasional biz life tip. That's livebrightshow.com. Now back to the pod.
I don't know about imposter syndrome. I don't think I do. I will say that I'm working on things today. I had a big change in my life when I turned 50. Okay. And it wasn't just because I turned 50, but you do think about 50, being okay. Now there's this other part of my life coming up. I'm not where I thought I would be. And you start to second guess a few things. Okay. So with that, I also lost my identity a little bit. When I sold my business, I was self-employed more than half of my life at that time. I never was prepared for, where's my business? Who am I? I've got all these hours, 4 hours with my wife. We were married 25 years at the time. I remember going in there and going, hey, honey, what do we want to do? What do you want to? And after a week, she's like, go freaking clean something or fix something. I'm cooking dinner like she has for 25 years.
Leave me alone.
You know what I heard though? Here's the painful part of that. This is what I heard. And I'm big on perception. This is what I literally heard her say. I don't need you. My daughter turned an age where she was now behind her bedroom door with a phone in her hand, who I used to coach in the league and high fives and love that kid. Gone. I have no purpose anymore. I don't have 45 people relying on me for a paycheck anymore. I don't have a purpose. I did not see that coming. And it was a challenging part of my life with my wife. We had to reestablish our relationship. We are in an awesome place right now where I get a kiss every single morning goodbye. And I love yous and all that great stuff. I tell you what, I had some serious problems of who Shawn Day was then, but as of that took about 3 years to get through. And I had to do some things. I had to get some help, and I had to read a lot of books. And then I learned this, and this is very contrary to what's going on things I hear see on Facebook and businesses. I'm not a big believer in mindset first. Okay. And this is contrary. And if I don't want to blow anybody's bubble, do what's good for you. I find that when I started to take actions first, even feeling miserable, even feeling no confidence, even not wanting to do it, when I started to take action, I found my mindset changing immensely. When I would pick up a phone, I didn't go to the mailbox for like a year. I mean, I didn't answer my phone.
Wow.
Things like that. I mean, I was in trouble. Okay. So I went through hell, and I had to dig out of that. And I had learned that knowledge isn't enough. I know my problem now. Thank you.
Super aware. Got it. I'm really effed up.
Or
whatever. Yeah. Right.
So when I started to do things like, hey, Tim, I heard your mom passed away. I haven't seen you in a long time. I remember, man, remember that football game? How you doing? Your house burnt down. We had a tornado. Your house burnt down. Well, we got to get to dinner. You're living in a hotel. We got to get to dinner. What are you doing Fridays? When I started to grab thank you notes and say, hey, Libby, I heard you got to really get into this speaking stuff. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you just knock it out of the park. And fold it up, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and send it in the mail. I learned by doing these things that the more I thought about Shawn Day, the bigger trouble I had. Because Shawn Day, when he's by himself, thinks about the future, which is worry for me, and thinks about the past a lot, which sometimes is regret or shame. I've learned to live in the present. I've learned to live in the now. And I can't tell you what it's done for every single part of my life, from sleeping better to actually hearing my wife, what she's talking about, and not business, business. Yep, honey, business, business. Yep, honey. Yeah. My children, I understand, and I will have an hour conversation with them, not a 5-minute one. You know, it's changed everything. But I had to go through that, I think, in order to get that growth, and it was painful. Thank God.
Wow, Shawn, thank you for sharing that. And I think a lot of people don't go there. They don't talk about the dark side or whatever you want to call it. And you found yourself there after you sold your business and lacking purpose. But I think people can find that even when they have a business and they're like, and in our industry, we see a lot of people trying to work themselves out of a job. And then they're like, what the hell do I do with my time now? I've certainly found myself there. So that's incredible. And I love what you said. So what you talked about was, you hear it's a little contrary potentially about mindset first versus action first. And I think everyone thinks, like, I hear, I just got to get motivated. I just got to get motivated to do this thing. I just got to get motivated. And that's a really hard thing to do. And I think, no, I don't think, I know I'm a tiny habits coach. We've talked about it before on your podcast, actually, and in tiny habits world, the idea is to lower whatever behavior, make it so small that the barrier to entry is it's like, you could do it on your absolute worst day when you're feeling your crappiest. You could be sick. You could be throwing up. You could be mentally not where you want to be. You could be depressed. You could still do that very, very small thing. And out of doing that small thing, it creates a habit, and from that, it creates more motivation and action to do more things. It starts the ball rolling. I believe that too. And I think that especially when you're in a dark place, you can't mind muscle your way out of it. I do believe you can change your state Like, I
Yeah.
think that like I was having a rough day the other day and it was a great day, but then whatever. And then I was like, I got a little cranky about something in my life. And I was like, okay, well, I don't like feeling this. Where is it presenting itself? And
Yeah.
so I took myself out in the woods and I like
Yeah.
went for a long walk and I, sat with, and I didn't sit, I walked with my thoughts. And in 30 minutes, I had changed my state, like not perfectly, but you know, it was the action, but it was also the state change. I think you can influence and change your state through action. I guess I just said through action. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, good.
There's knowledge is great, but it's just knowledge. It's just, I try to, my son has some difficulties with some anxiety and things like that. And there's some people that I help. Okay. And I try to say it as easily as I can like this. Our thoughts are not reality. We often think, I think a lot of people think that. Our thoughts are, and let me make it a very simple, I'm a simple guy like and so I'll explain it this way. If I have three gorgeous women and there they are in the room and they're all fighting to come after Shawn Day, I assure you that is not reality. Okay. I can think all I want.
I was like, this sounds good to me. What are you talking about? Yeah.
But it isn't reality. Okay. So that is a great way for me to explain. That's proof that your thoughts are not reality. Okay. But that's in every aspect of life. It's just your thought. Now your thoughts can motivate you in certain ways and prevent you from doing things in certain. I've got a friend that's a scientist at the Cleveland Clinic. His studies professional athletes, high executives, peak performers, and this and that. And in general, he will say it certainly better than I will, but in general, it's this. When you have positive thinking, and you think of the greatest athletes of all time, who I love that type of greatness, it amazes me in anything. And if you have the positive thinking and it's just going to happen, man, you will go 2 or 3 feet every day. If you have negativity, and I don't know if this is, you will go back 2 miles. And that's what he said. Negative thinking is so much more powerful than positive thinking. And that's pretty interesting if you think about that.
Wow. Yeah. I'm sure it goes like to our evolutionary brain, like, right,
Yeah.
to protect
Yeah.
ourselves in the wild when we're being chased by whatever. And,
Yep.
it's like the negative inputs were danger. And so
Yep.
they had a much bigger impact. That's interesting.
And that's a
Wow.
lot like, and that's like, I love the topic of ego. That's what ego's all about. We all have to have an ego so that we don't think we can jump off a bridge and live or step in front
Right.
of a bus, right? Or play
Right.
with dinosaurs,
Right.
those things we have to. But if you look up synonyms for the word, is it synonyms or antonyms? Whichever one's the one that's
Sin.
okay. Yeah. So it's self-centered, self-protecting, self-interest. It's self. How in the hell can you serve others with ego, self? That to me, your ego, this is simple for me. I try to do everything I can to serve God's kids and be polite and kind, okay? And it's not even a religious thing. It's just to serve the kids of the earth the best I can, okay? That's everything else is God's thing. What else can I control other than that? And the more I do that, and the less I think about Shawn Day, I had a 2-hour breakfast with some guy that's 85 years old this morning. I was rushing to get here so I could get on this.
Sorry about that.
No, I want it. It's crazy. I met him at the golf course. For some reason, he took a liking to me because I talked to him, get to know him. And here we brought in another guy this morning who I met just trying to help somebody that was having problems at a park that I have to be a park board member of because somebody talked me into that. And I said, yes, I'll do it. Now I'm talking pickleball courts yet. I don't know what the hell that is. What am I doing here? I just said yes and showed up. And so I'm helping this guy at the park. I said, I got this guy that's an engineer that has this patent that I think is going to disrupt the entire lumber industry. He's looking for a chemist. I says, I know a chemist. I just built a race car for the guy. was at breakfast with us this morning. Okay. These crazy things happen when you just are trying polite and you get to learn about other people and what they're up to. When things just start to go in motion, what do you need from me? I don't care. If I can do it, I'll do it. If I can't, I'll let you know. But I'm going to be there as long as you treat me good. And everything that I'm hearing from you, we're aligned on certain things, which is kindness, love, acceptance. And if you screw me over, you just need to go away. That's all. I don't have
Yeah.
to have resentment about it. I look at everybody that is given to me and I say, that guy or girl's got something wrong with them, man. They're going through something. Why else would you be shitty to people?
Right.
And I look at that and I say, you know what? I hope you have a better day, man. I don't need you around me, but I hope you find whatever the hell you need to find to get that peace in your life and that joy in your life. You're sick. It's a sick person that can't find that. You might be able to live your life okay. You might be able to have a house, a car, and kids, and all that, and a job. But to walk around unhappy, and by the way, I'll sum it up with this, and then I'll let you fire at me or whatever. But everything I'm saying is just a theory. Until something shitty happens to you, then and only then can you figure out if everything you're thinking and going through and living is more than just a theory. But you can't find that out unless shitty things happen to you. I almost look forward to shitty things happening to me today because I know it's going to create growth and it's going to challenge me and my thinking. And am I on the right course? And I'm not the same guy I was at 50. And I hope to God I'm not the same guy I am today when I'm 60.
Oof, I love that, Shawn. And I mean, I love that. Well, you're so growth oriented, which is just my language, like for sure. But what you just said about, all is well and good when everything is going fine, and like your business, whatever it is, like things are growing, you're healthy, everything's copacetic. But then when the rubber hits the road, when something shitty happens, it's like, okay, like, is all this theory, is it true and right, and does it actually work? And that it's funny because yesterday when I went out into the woods, because I was like, okay, it works, it does, it works, like, like everything I talk about and teach, but I continue to teach myself these things too, right? And applying the principles that I apply to and teach to other people. So no, that's awesome. That's really awesome. So I could clearly talk to you like all day, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. Let me ask you, why don't you share with us what you're doing now? I know you're with Hire Lead Chill, which is an awesome recruiting agency. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll wrap up with a fun little game and go from there.
Sure. So Hire Lead Chill is the first recruiting company that really not be a staffing agency or a temp agency, but to offer some help to the home service industry to find really good, mainly technicians, to come in and match them with really great businesses. And that happened super organically. As I grew with Blue Sky Services, we were buying other cleaning companies. We got to about 100 employees, and I said, we need to figure out this recruiting thing. This is now crazy. Okay, Shawn, good idea. Do it. So I guess I'll do it. So it took me a long time to put a system together with some data and all this other stuff. Never envisioned doing this for other companies at this time. This is about 2016. And it was working really well. And we were at a convention, and thankfully. And hey, man, having a beer. How you guys doing? I got this system. We're not short staffed too often. Well, can you get me 4 window cleaners? I don't know. We don't do it for anybody else. All right, I'll try. We get them 4 window cleaners. You got to bill me. You got to bill me. This is awesome. I don't know what to charge for it. So our first invoice was for a case of beer because I had no idea what to charge. That was it. So I get the question when I tell that story, are you charging like cakes now? And I go, no, we're charging dollars now, man. Long story short, now we do it for hundreds of companies around the country. And it's more of a subscription-based sort of model where you pay us very similar to if you hired an agency to do your Facebook ads or your Google ads. They tell you, we'll manage the whole thing for you. We'll post it all for you, but you need a budget to boost some of this advertising to get the clients you need. Same thing on the recruiting end. Any word you give me or sentence you give me with the word marketing in there. I will take the word marketing out of it, put the word recruiting in there, and the sentence works every single time. And that's
Oh, wow.
sort of what we do. And I'm working on a lot of things right now with the candidate side of it, where I'm trying to put things, not trying, we are, it's just not to the finish line yet. I'm really excited about it because we're going after the candidates out there, and we're basically calling it Fresh Start. And it's going to be something like this. If you can't stand your job, blue collar worker, and you're sick of being on a plant floor or in a warehouse or something like that, did you know you can make about the same amount of money working 9 months in a window cleaning company? Okay. In fact, I will give you free coaching and consulting and videos and learning and teaching on that. And then I've got hundreds of companies around the country that are dying to hire people like this. I want
Wow.
to get you maybe even certified, but I want to talk about the some of the spiritual part of that, some of the growth part of that, sort of you're valuable and those sort of things. And by the way, if you happen to have a lot of, I'll even help you maybe start your own business if you want to do that. So I'm really excited about that.
Very cool. When are you getting ready to launch that part of what you're doing?
It's probably going to be, I'm hoping by the end of the year, because there's a lot that's going into it, and then we got to build the community and all that stuff. The content I've got right up here, and I know the map I want to lay out to it. I just need to get it to my VA and all that stuff to get that
Okay.
going. We've got a growth hub for our clients right now that we're just putting the finishing touches on. So I want to make sure I'm not forgetting about that. I'm laser focused on getting that to the finish line. So those are the things I'm working on now. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And that's with Hire Lead Chill. So
Yeah.
where can people find you and Hire Lead Chill, Shawn?
So hireleadchill.com, hireleadchill.com. There will be a button on every page that says click here, and you can set up a 30-minute, 60-minute call with me. I can take you through exactly what our recruiting system is. And I always at the end of it say, steal anything you want, try it on your own, call me if you need help, or pay me a few bucks and I'll be happy to help you do it on our own. So whatever, either way, I don't care.
You are like so like of service. Like I love it. And that's obviously really feeds you. So that's
Big time.
amazing. That's amazing. Do you I feel like I want to ask you one more question. Do you have like can you go over like by 5 minutes? Do you have an extra 5 minutes by
I can do
chance?
what I can stay on for another half hour. I don't care.
Okay, well, no, just one more question. So,
Sure.
because you are such this giving person, and you're, I mean, and it's evident that that feeds you too and makes you feel great. Do you find that you ever have a hard time drawing boundaries or saying no if you're like, that doesn't really like feel right, or like does that ever happen, and how do you deal with that?
So I've got my spiritual, my family, my friends, my business. Okay. If I know my capacity by asking my wife, if I am not with the family enough or we're not spending enough time together, just let me know and I'll cut out whatever I need to cut out because that's my main priority. And she's never really told me I'll cut that out because she's seen me grow, be happy, treat her better, treat the kids better, and be a better man and be the man I've always wanted to be. Um, and so I don't, as long as I go to the people that I care about and ask them, is it okay? Because I don't know where my full capacity lies. Only if somebody that I care about and love and want my time, never to have them feel like I haven't given them enough time, they'll let me know. And I go by that.
Okay. Okay. I love that answer. Thanks, Shawn. Thank you. All right. This has been amazing. So I mean, this has been really fun. And this is just the beginning of like what I expect to be a very big, successful podcast. So you're coming back. I'm just gonna put that out there right now because we have more to talk
Anytime.
about. All right, awesome. But let's wrap up. I like to play a little game, and here are the
Uh-oh.
rules. It's just like rapid fire, just some questions, and you get to say skip whenever if you don't want to.
Okay.
It's nothing too crazy, but we'll just wrap it up with that. And all right, so we'll just start really easy. Like what favorite pizza?
Pepperoni sausage
Okay, favorite movie.
or brand. It's a local brand here, Guido's. It's awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
Guido's.
Yeah.
All right.
Guido's. Oh,
Okay. All right.
Any time of the day, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Pizza
I'm going to
anytime. All
Guido's.
right. Okay.
I'm going to Guido's in about an hour.
Okay, good. 2-hour breakfast, podcast interview,
Yeah,
2-hour lunch.
yeah.
I see how you roll. I like it. I like it. I'm coming to Ohio. All right. Favorite movie or TV show?
Favorite movie. I love Godfather, and I love, believe it or not, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane with the first one with Betty Davis.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
creepy type of movie, and it's awesome. I loved it.
Okay, interesting. We're finding
Yeah.
out a little bit more about Shawn Day. That's the idea here. So Guido's and that movie. Okay. And hobby that you love doing in your spare time.
I love golfing. I love fishing. Um, yeah, those two things
Okay.
mainly. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Would you rather is like my favorite game ever.
Yeah.
And I have to keep it clean because it's on the podcast, but would you rather spend a week in space in a spaceship, like doing space stuff, or a week in the sea exploring underwater?
I think the sea. Only because I'm afraid of heights.
Okay. All right. You're
And
the
that would
second
make me
person.
feel
Yeah,
really
that would
goofy.
be, yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
that's pretty
goofy.
freaking high.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
I'd say C for sure, man. And I love the
Okay.
fish. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Would you rather be would you rather be a human bear, like covered in hair all the time, like just like that thing that wanders around, like Sasquatch or whatever, like a human bear, okay? Or be hot all the time?
I think hot all the time. I got a lot of joint and arthritis and gout issues. I love
Ooh,
90-degree weather. I love
okay.
95-degree weather. I feel really good. My muscles feel good. My body feels good when it's that hot.
And you're gonna have to move out of Ohio.
Well, yeah. I hate the winter here now that I'm older, but yeah. And
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Last question. This is a little more serious question.
uh-oh.
Not whatever. So you've got this kick-ass life. I mean, your 2-hour breakfasts, Guido's for lunch. Like you got good stuff going on. You've got a beautiful life, which is why I wanted to have you on here. So do you feel like this has been, and I already know that you've kind of already answered this, but more by design or by luck?
I don't know if I believe in luck wholeheartedly. I don't know that it's been by design. I know this. The more I serve God's kids and treat people kindly, the amazing things have happened in my life. And the more that I think about other people and less about Shawn Day, without a doubt, if that's design, I guess so. That's my design, and it's working phenomenally well right now.
Wow. Well, I
Yeah,
can't wrap it. I can't wrap it up better than that. There you have it from Shawn Day. Thank you for coming to being on the Live Bright show. Part-time monk, awesome. Full-time, awesome. Appreciate you, my friend, and stay bright. All right.
absolutely. I love the podcast already, and you're just phenomenal, and you're touching a lot of people and doing a lot of good things, and I love it.
Thanks, Shawn. All right.
And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Live Bright Show. If you enjoyed this pod, please go to livebrightshow.com to be in the know for new program offerings and podcast releases. Molly has more awesome guests and content coming your way, so you're going to want to be on that list. Also, just because you're still listening, it would be incredible if you could go ahead and subscribe to this podcast and provide the show with a 5-star review. You know how they help. Go forth, have fun, and live bright, friends.